So a question that comes up quite frequently is, what is the best DI to use for an acoustic? And the answer is, whatever's best for your ears. It's just like any other pedal, any other guitar. If anyone tells you this is the best pedal or this is the best guitar, that's what they believe and what they hear. And that's the beauty about music and sound and everything else. So the reason why the LR Baggs Session Acoustic DI is the best DI for me is very simple. This is a very simple DI. It's not just because I'm a simple bloke. Realistically, this pedal is nice and straightforward to use. It's not there to completely alter your acoustic tone. And in essence, and why I love this pedal so much and why I think you should check it out, is it does the opposite. It does minor tweaks to the tone in the form of enhancing how your actual natural acoustic already sounds. The last thing I want with an acoustic guitar is to have a pedal that completely changes how it sounds, because the reality is there's no point buying that acoustic. If you love that acoustic, if you picked that up in the guitar shop and went, you know what, I love that sound, then why would you want to get a pedal that completely changes that? The other reason why I really, really love this DI is it's quite simple to use. If you'd heard me in previous videos, I'm not all about having lots and lots of functions and features. I want to be able to get in, dial in a tone nice and quickly so I can get in and play. So firstly, that track you heard at the start was guitared from the DI direct into the audio interface. There was some reverb that was added on in post from Dragonfly. If you haven't checked out Dragonfly, they do some great reverbs that are free plugins, so check them out, download them. There's a bunch of different ones to try out. So first things first with the Session DI, you've got to get your sound, and the first thing to do with that is to dial in your gain. So if you have a look on here, if we have our gain, a lot of people go to volume first, but the reality is we need to check out our gain. So if I'm gonna go in here, I'll show you what this looks like as I was to turn this up. All right. As you can see there with the gain, what we want to do is we want to make sure that the VU isn't hitting red on there, because that's going to be clipping and you can't get rid of that into your DAW. So in this instance, we're going guitar, Session DI, straight into my audio interface. So we want to bring that gain back so it isn't clipping. What I like to do is I like to hit a chord fairly hard just to see if we can get that to clip. Still too much. Let's bring that back. Great, all right. Now that we've got the gain set, now we can bring the volume up. So if we want to bring that volume control up here. And what that means, we're getting a nice healthy signal through. And now we can start playing with these dials that are on here. So keeping it nice and simple, the first one, notch, as you can see here. This here is a great sweep that allows you to, if you are getting feedback from your PA, you've actually got the opportunity to, with this notch filter, to be able to sweep it across the spectrum to find where that feedback is coming from, and in essence be able to cut out those frequencies to stop the feedback, which is amazing when you're playing live, because there's nothing more frustrating when you're setting up, you've got a great tone, and then all of a sudden this feedback starts coming from certain chords or frequencies that you're playing and you can't get rid of it. This sweep here eliminates that straight away, which is amazing. Now, usually when I'm playing live, I like to play with a feedback buster in the sound hole of the acoustic. That does help eliminate a lot of that. However, this little tool right here is amazing and a game changer when you're trying to find that feedback. The next one you can see here is saturate. Between Saturate and Comp EQ, this for me is where the money's at with this pedal right here. This is what I talked about with enhancing your tone but not changing your tone for where you're not actually enjoying the sound of your guitar. This here enhances the natural acoustics in your guitar. So Saturate, let me give you an idea of what this sounds like when we're just playing with Saturate down. Half of the way, and now you can start hearing some of these natural harmonics and a bit more depth coming through on your sound. Check it out. And then let's crank this bad boy up. See if it goes to 11. Right, so I usually like to have it sitting around about the 1 o'clock mark, just enough to enhance the sound, to get a bit of depth coming through there, but not to make it too boomy. Now, the comp on the other side here, again, another game changer. However, if you are using a compressor pedal, this is why another reason you might want to check this pedal out, because it incorporates the compressor into it with the EQ at the same time. So it's just really helping out with those dynamics, in particular when you get to the finger picking parts or you get to certain sections where you do need to have that compressor. Let's have a listen to how that sounds. Halfway. Now let's check this right up. Again, I really like to have the compressor sort of sitting around 130. Again, with music, this is to your taste. So let's have a listen to how this sounds with some finger picking, and then we'll incorporate some strums in there at the same time, just so you can hear how that compressor's working. Now on the side of the pedal, you've got a high pass filter with some different settings over here. On this side, you have a ground lift, really helpful if you do need to have the ground lift there. And lastly, we've got the phase button. So if you can hear the difference for the phase buttons when I play it, this really is playing in or out of phase, and it's to taste. This is, again, completely up to you how this sounds. So if we hear between this version, and this one. Completely up to you what you prefer. Lastly, we've got the battery meter here. As you might see, I'm actually running this one through mains power right now, but you can run this one through a 9-volt battery at the same time. You have your 1/4 inch out or an XLR out as well. For this purpose, I've got the 1/4 inch out going direct into the audio interface. And that's what I love about this DI. It allows me to have my acoustic tone, which is as close as possible to being mic'd up in the studio, nice and portable, so I can take around wherever I want and get that sound, but going through a DI into the PA, which as we all know is really hard to achieve. So my advice to you, like any pedal, any guitar, anything else, check it out. Go to a music store, ask to be locked in a room, see if you can set up the acoustic DI, the session DI rather, into a mixer or some headphones or whatever it might be, so you can really have a play around with the sound. Take your acoustic guitar as well. That's a big one. A lot of people don't do that when trying out particularly acoustic gear. Take your acoustic guitar with you to the shop, plug it into the DI or whatever you're trying out, and make sure you get that sound that you're after before purchasing the pedal. Thanks very much for checking out the video.